Rain down smoke.
Yes, you read that title and thumbnail correctly. The coronavirus actually does have a pretty large impact on the CSGO economy, and you can make a decent amount of money because of it. If you already looked at the stock market, you saw that things were dropping like crazy, but if you went ahead and looked at the CSGO market, you probably saw that things were doing great. And that's actually for a specific reason. The coronavirus is a large, widespread pandemic, and there can be a lot of factors associated with it. So without further ado, let's get straight into this video. Also, of course, just like before, if you want to make efficient investing decisions and you want to make the biggest profit margins that you possibly can, be sure to check out my SkinBay link in the description below. SkinBay is a great site, very beautiful and smooth UI, and also a very good amount of discounts on popular items, especially popular investment items. So make sure you go check it out and use my referral link. That will really help me out and support the channel. If you do decide to buy anything on SkinBay, be sure to @ me on Twitter, @Nalo Video, and I'll let you know what I think of your purchases. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Now, the first general topic I want to talk about for this video is actually going to be liquids. So liquids are probably the only thing that are experiencing an actual drop out of all items that are in the Steam marketplace in general, and there's actually a very good reason for that, especially correlating to the coronavirus, and that reason is pretty simple. So when you have a square, let's say for example, and you put that square into the Steam store on whatever game you choose, it could be TF2, CSGO, whatever. You put this item in the store for a fixed price, let's say it's $1, and then you go ahead and put it up in the store. People are going to buy that item at the fixed price of $1 and then go sell it on the community market for a very similar price to the $1, pretty much equal to it, or maybe a little bit less, probably never more. The reason it's not going to be more is because it's regulated by its in-game price. No one's going to buy an item on a Steam community market for more than you can buy it in-game, because if you can buy it in-game, then you might as well just do that since it's infinite anyway. And that's why you never see these liquid items going above their in-game store price, only below it, because there's a regulator that keeps it at that same price. Now, when stuff like this happens, there's going to be less of a demand of liquids. People aren't really going to want liquids as much because liquids are mainly used for cash out. To be honest, people don't really want real raw cash right now because cash is obviously getting devalued. It's not going to be worth as much when there's a giant pandemic going on that's creating the stock market crash and that whole entire recession. People just don't really want raw cash, and it's actually a little bit more of a smart and stable idea to invest in something that's a little bit more fixed, like the CSGO item. I guess it's not really a fixed price, it's more of just a inelasticity because the items don't really change very much in regards to pandemics like this. They actually rise because more people are staying home playing video games, which therefore increases the amount of people playing CSGO, and also of course increases the amount of people that are in the skin marketplace because they're playing CSGO for so much time. So yeah, right now definitely liquids are a very good thing to buy. Even sticker capsules like the CS20 capsule is a good one as well right now. I actually bought some for like 94 cents recently, which is a lot lower than I usually buy them for, so that was really cool. And these are all good items to buy. Pretty much anything that's regulated by an in-game store is going to be good to buy, and those are going to decrease a little bit over the coming days or weeks or whatever, however long this pandemic really lasts and has a long-term effect on the world as a whole. And if you do things correct and buy them at low points, you can make some decent profit off of them. So moving on from what you should buy right now, let's talk about the rest of the market. So there's this whole kind of concept of celebration. I talked about this a little bit more in depth in a Twitter thread. You can check out the Twitter thread using the link in the description below. But basically, a celebration period happens after a tragedy occurs and people survive through it. This includes stuff like 9/11, for example, where people really became unified after 9/11 as a whole, and they really made the economy boost up because they were celebrating their lives and the fact that, they didn't have to really experience the tragedy as firsthand as they may have in other circumstances. So the celebration period is really good for the economy because it allows people to spend a lot of money and increase the national spending, which of course increases how much is actually flowing around in the economy, and that's why the economy goes up during celebration periods. Now, on the note of celebration, China is actually currently decreasing in the effectiveness they had of the virus. So for example, they are closing down some of the hospitals that they had open in order to deal with the virus, and they are also opening up some schools later on, and they're actually decreasing in the amount of cases that they have, which is really good. So the main thing here that's important to note is that China is very good in terms of their economy. They have a very strong economy, and their people have a lot of wealth. Because of that, there's going to be a lot of spending happening during the celebration period, if there is one, which means that the economy in general, especially in China, is going to boost even higher than it was before, because so many people are going to be spending so much money. By that same note, that also means that people in China are also going to be buying a lot of CSGO skins during this celebration period, because that is, of course, a luxury item that they just can buy outright. This means that if that actually lines up with the supply bottleneck that's occurring at the end of this operation, we could see some absolutely incredible prices for the high-tier operation skins, because Chinese investors are going to be looking more towards higher-tier stuff. So when it comes to the operation collections, we have stuff like the Op Prince, Gungnir, and Lotus. So if you had these items, I could see them going even higher if somehow the coronavirus celebration period lines up with the operation bottleneck. Obviously, that comes down to timing, and with the coronavirus declining right now and the operation ending in about 2 or 3 weeks from now, that means that there could be a very good chance that the celebration period is going to be in full swing in China when the operation ends and the bottleneck occurs. That's just completely a theory out of me, not saying anything like that is actually going to occur or any crazy price jumps are going to happen for that exact reason. But it's definitely something to look out for. So if you haven't bought some of those higher tier things from the operation, I would seriously recommend doing so now, just because that could line up perfectly and really create some insane prices for hype at the end of the operation. Also, one more thing to keep in mind when we're talking about effectiveness of an overall country, keep in mind that while China may be declining, there's actually going to be a huge boom in cases in other countries right now. It's spreading like crazy. In fact, like 2 or 3 days ago, the US had like 500 or 600 cases, and right now it's already doubled that. So it's just spreading like absolute wildfire, and the amount of quarantines that are going to occur in countries is just going to increase, which means that the player base of CSGO is also going to increase, and also that means that the marketplace in CSGO is going to be bolstered quite a lot. Obviously not for liquids because it's worth raw cash, but for other items that you may have, and especially high tier items, those are going to be things that people are buying a lot during this time. A lot of you may be wondering, what are the best items I can buy during this period? Well, the good thing about that is that there isn't really a wrong answer. The whole market's pretty much going to move in a positive upward trend, and that's really only going to occur if the coronavirus actually has that deep of effect on the market. Obviously, at this point, it's kind of hard to say if it's actually going to dig that deep into the CSGO marketplace and really boost prices up like that, but we'll just have to see with time, obviously. This is just something that is definitely feasible right now, especially with how it's affected the stock market, so that's kind of why this video is existing, and I'm kind of trying to warn you guys in advance at some kind of really inherent rise that could happen because of this. We have already seen pretty significant changes in a lot of prices of items, especially investment items, so, that could definitely occur and expand. But as for best overall items to buy, I would really recommend cost-effective items, basically items that are not only cheap, but also take you a really long way in terms of how good your inventory looks. So for example, the UMP Primal Saber is a good example of a cost-effective skin because it's extremely cheap and it also has an incredibly good design. So skins kind of like the UMP Primal Saber, maybe not the UMP itself, but other stuff that is pretty popular. I think the Op Neo Noir is a little bit on the cheaper end. The Op Hyper Beast, of course, that's on the cheaper end, and it goes a really long way for how much it costs. So I think those items that are really cost effective are actually going to be good investments right now, because I think that's what most people are going to buy if they're under quarantine and they have to just play video games all day, basically. But with that being said, that's kind of just the end of this video. There's not really a whole lot to say. It's kind of a shorter video just because there's not a whole lot of factors that are going to occur to make specific skins a big deal. It's just really the market in general is going to do well with this quarantine because a lot more people are going to be playing the game, and simply put, when there's more people playing the game, there's also more people investing and buying skins. That said, be sure to stay safe out there, and thank you so much for checking out this video and taking some time out of your day to come watch it with me. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and like this video because there's going to be a lot more content like this in the future, and good investment content that you're going to want to stay updated on, especially if you're under quarantine from the coronavirus. So, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch the video with me. I really appreciate your support. Be sure to use my Skin Bay link if you want to help me out, and join our Discord server if you get bored during your quarantine and want to talk to some great investors in there. And also to consider following me on Twitter for the latest coronavirus memes and updates. And once again, thank you so much for watching. See y'all next time. Peace.